Hi, today I'm going to show you something I call Wonky Bridge. I'll just get on my mat. So when you're lying in semi-supine or starting this, if your head is quite far forward of your neck, you might want a little bit of a support. I'm going to take mine away for this. So this Wonky Bridge is a sort of a weird twisting, rocking, rolling pelvic movement that I find useful for many reasons. So the first thing you'll do is give yourself some time to release your neck and let the weight of your head rest into the mat and your body time to settle on the mat. So you need to give yourself more time than I'm going to give here now. And if you know about the Alexander technique, you'd be thinking about your lengthening, widening back. You'd be asking your knees to direct up towards the ceiling and away from each other. You'd be thinking your Alexander directions to encourage the appropriate tone throughout the whole of your structure. And then when you're ready to start to move, you'll slide out one leg. Now, if you've got a slidey mat, you can just slide it away. Otherwise, you're going to use your toes to creep down the mat. And that's quite a nice way of doing things anyway. It gives the hip a chance to adjust. It gives it time to find a new position as the leg extends. You'll notice that your lower back will be different as the leg comes out. So now you've got one side of your lower back which wants to pull up off the floor a little bit. And you're not going to worry about that, but you're not going to resist it or hold it. You're going to allow the belly to be very soft. And you can ask for the back to widen. It's just a thought. And the leg that's on the ground, you give that some time. You give that some time for the muscles through the thighs to lengthen. A sort of settling time. And then you might want to just pay attention to what's going on at the top of your spine. You know, have you tightened your jaw? Can you keep the tongue soft? Positioning the head so that you're not kind of sticking your chin out and your chin is not coming to your chest, but you've got a kind of nice, easy neck free. And the next limb that we're interested in is going to be the bent leg here, because we want to make that foot, the foot that's in contact with the ground, really strong but not forceful. It's like it's in your mind, you know where it is, the little toe especially, the base of the big toe. This is your active side. So for me right now, the left side of the body is going to be the all action side. And the right side of the body with the extended leg, this is going to stay soft and easy and relaxed. And you're going to find a way, you're going to work out how you can press down through the bent leg foot with as little effort as possible. And as I'm pressing down through that bent leg foot, what's happening is my pelvis is starting to roll. And it's starting to roll as if it's the heads of the hip crests are going to start looking over towards you. They're looking towards the right of me. So I'm pressing down, and I've actually decided that my foot needs to be a little bit nearer. So I'm just going to walk that in a bit because that feels easier. And that's the point. I want it to feel really easy so that the weight of the leg is dropping not just through the foot, but there's a sense of the weight of the thigh staying back in the hip socket. And that as that pressure goes through the foot and the pelvis rocks, there's a sort of an easy release that's going on all around that kind of groin, the loin, the inner thigh. And the knee of the bent leg isn't coming with you. That's not coming over here. towards the relaxed side, it's in fact directing, you're thinking it and you're sending it over away from your midline, and it's opening up through the front of the pelvis. And you want to be just experimental. It's, you know, well, I'm rocking and I can feel that my abdomen wants to kick in, and I'm just going to say, well, let that be soft, see what happens, don't overdo it. And you might let the leg, the hip really come quite far off the floor, and experiment will then just kind of letting it drop in a sort of sloppy, oh, what does that do? Oh, actually, that's okay. I mean, you wouldn't start with that, but you might want to work up to that. Eventually, you want to have a go on the other side, and you'll be again very connected through the foot on the ground. That's your useful place to think about. You don't want to tighten your neck when you bring the leg back up again. You'll ask that to soften, the jaw to be easy. You can think you're widening back as well to support that leg that's being drawn back and in. And when you get there, you might fancy just sort of pressing down on either foot, one after the other, as if you're sort of doing this sort of weird walking through the pelvis. Again, keeping the distance between your knees. So because this is just a little clip, I'm just going to go ahead and start going on the other side. I've let the leg out, the other leg's gone out, given the hip some time to release. I've asked the abdomen to quieten down. I don't need any tension here. I've allowed any changes in my back to change, the shape of me to change. And I'm checking in with my neck to make sure that's not gripping or tight. And I've decided that this feels like a good place for my active foot. And so while part of my brain is saying to one side, I want you to relax and let go and surrender, the other part of my brain is saying, I want to be pressing down through the active foot. I still want to be inactive down here. This wants to be soft through the belly. But there's a widening that happens through the costal arch. You're really thinking of an openness through the front here. And as the foot presses down and the knees heading out away from the midline, your goal is to actually not overgrip in your bum. That wants to be really quite easy. I mean, that is quite squidgy. The work is deeper than this. And as I said, on the other side, you'll kind of work up. You start little and you sort of work up in this very slow way, letting the pelvis rock to the side so it's really twisted. And it's easy. You know, it's not effortful. This is you just having an easy time. I want you to think this time about the shoulders, and you're really allowing not just the shoulders and the arms to rest, but the muscle just behind the armpit here, the sort of high in the ribs. They're really almost dropping back down and into the ground. So I've allowed my back to really arch here. I'm just going to move my fabric so you can see that. So you can see that the back is really arched. It's doing different things. It's not tight in there. It's not gripping. It's quite soft. The work is deeper. You're experimenting. That's the goal. I'm experimenting with this peculiar movement. And it's called a wonky bridge because actually it's kind of like a half a yoga bridge. The butt's coming off the floor a bit, which makes it similar. And I don't know, it's a name that I just thought of and it stuck. You'll notice as well, I'm just going to switch back to the other side so you can see that as the belly and the pelvis really kind of start to rock over, your innards, you want that softness here because you're kind of letting all of the bags and tubes inside you hang down. You're giving them a bit of space. You're finding a bit of space. And that can feel really good. It can be really nice for your digestion. Oh, so I just whipped my leg back up there, but you'd want to think it through before you move that leg. And then because I'm a real fidgety person, I would do something like this, letting the pelvis roll, give myself a bit of time to settle again. Perhaps think of a bit of Alexander direction, neck free, head out, back lengthen, widen, knees to the ceiling. And to get up, I would always roll on my side. It's just kinder to the body, I think. So remember, it's experimental. Remember, it needs to be kind, needs to be conscious, and always body-led. Thank you.